As I write to you now, I am sat in a churchyard in Oxfordshire. People are slowly trickling from the church after Sunday service. I can hear the exhaust vent from a pub kitchen and sparrows flitting high above me. Clouds make a polka dot pattern in the sky, and the sunshine comes and goes. I'm in the Cotswolds, the heartland of England, the quintessential English landscape. The rope on the church's flagpole rhythmically slaps in the breeze, and the wood pigeons keep cooing. The church bell rang twice, and the steward opens the gates to the museum. I went inside to find out what narratives would be presented to me by this archive of objects. There used to be a show on TV where they would try to do an archaeological dig over a weekend. This case was made by one of the presenter's dads. It is filled with tiny flints, all collected from around the village of Charlbury. Charlbury Museum occupies a small stone cottage. The air is cool inside, a relief from my stuffy car. The place is crammed with objects. A couple newly moved to the area are chatting with the lady on the front desk. I pay my £1 entry and slip by. The objects in the museum are grouped by object type. The things that grab my attention are the clay pipes, a hot water plate, some of the World War I medals and plaques. They have a mock slate roof over an area about the forge, and one display case about a local watchmaker. Whilst looking at some of the intricate wood turnings also made by Mr. Brackenbury, one of the museum's stewards asks if I need any assistance. I ask her, who should I contact if I want to film in the museum? I say that I am an artist, a filmmaker and a sculptor, and that my work is about cultural heritage sites and museum display. This is a narrative which could be true, but it feels like a lie. I get the phone number and email of the chair of the board for the museum, Celia. I say that I am the guest of Claire at the studio down the road. Judy, one of the museum stewards, says she knows her, stabled her horse near the studio. I buy the book Vic Brackenbury had written about Charlbury in the 1930s, and I go and sit in another churchyard to read it. The afternoon is pleasant. More wood pigeon calls, and the bleeps of blackbirds surround me. The museum has closed, and one of the stewards walks within earshot, talking about an artist who wants to film in the museum. The next day, I met George, a woodworker and sculptor who rents one of the other sheds where my current studio is. He grumbles about having to make some doors for a school today, but it should pay the bills. Then he starts telling me about the huts that we share. Although they started life as a piggery, in World War II they were turned into a POW camp. I went to have a look in his studio. There were many spindly figures made of woods with varying tones from dark chocolate to golden honey. I left his studio, crunched across the flint gravel drive, and finished logging my footage from yesterday. It still looks usable. I heard about an abandoned airfield near Chipping Norton, not used since the war. It takes a while to find on the map. The buildings look as though they were swept aside by the farmer for his barley. I wiggle my way through an intricate estate on the edge of Banbury and climb Crouch Hill. It is beautifully warm, and a young family are playing catch on a low hill. I retrieve my camera from the car, and a ripening barley field holds my interest. I think I have gotten some nice shots of the heads swaying in the field. It is a beautiful image, and such a cliché. I get some shots of a nearby estate with an ominous grey building in the background. When I stop filming, the building starts venting steam, but by the time I set my camera up again, the steam has gone, so I leave. The family have gone home when I walk back down the hill. 2 teenage boys are sat smoking instead, talking about the injustices of their lives. I want to tell them to value this short time they have together. My map shows that there should be a Roman villa here. I go to one with some remains above ground. Also on the map, I spot an Iron Age earthwork past Bruton. The hill fort has been built in a lovely valley. The larks are rising, and the sun is lowering. I am surprised to see that the earthwork has crops on it. I skirt around the edge of the field, in the hope of finding a way up. I feel like I'm being watched from one of the farmhouses, and keep walking along the footpath, heading for the next hill over, called Jester Hill. I walk up the track, getting shots of the hill fort as I go. When I reach the crest of Jester Hill, it not only has an OS survey point, but also a beacon. I point the camera everywhere. I'm in love with the landscape. I romanticize about the people who built and lived in the hill fort. I marvel at the probably monotonous task of the Ordnance Survey, and I'm curious about the beacon. I even face the camera towards the sun as it sets. I kept taking the wrong exit at the roundabouts out of Chipping Norton, and end up on a much more scenic route than I had intended. At the bottom of a valley, I discover a disused railway. It was a branch line, now a tunnel of trees that snakes its way through the villages to the northeast. The roll-right stones don't hold the mystery I wanted them to. Looking like a load of skin flakes with their covering of lichen and porous texture. There are 3 sets of stones. The main circle, a small cluster called the Whispering Knights, and one on the other side of the road called the Kingstone. As I walk from site to site, I realise the only people visiting today are men, all on their own, slowly wandering amongst the stones in a contemplative procession. I spend a long time looking out towards the Vale of Evesham. I head back a different route to Chipping Norton and pick up some food to have a picnic with. I hunt for a good view and settle for sitting on a wall in a lay-by at the edge of an estate 2 boys are roaming the woods behind me, practicing archery.